Today on Gamer's Couch.
Ghost stories.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to the couch. It's Sunday. We are ghosts. We are spooky people.
We talk to you from beyond the YouTube's graves. Kind of.
Whatever. Kind of spooky. We have the perfect game for the current season, which is pretty much very short before Halloween season. We have that on the couch. Welcome to our lovely living room and gaming room. We talk board games every Sunday. If you're new to the channel and didn't know that from the name of the show. I am Sarah, the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and this lovely ghost here is my husband.
In need of a haircut.
That too, but he happens to be my husband Daniel, the ghostly guy in this household. As I already said, we talk board games, starting off with rules and gameplay. That's always the ghost's part to take over. No, this big ghost, not the small duck ghost. He wanted to play along. And then we talk about what we liked or not liked about the game, and we finish this video with funny stories and experiences that we had during the game. Before I pass the talking thing to him, let me just say I might be a bit biased for that game because it's my favorite game. So get ready for some fangirling.
And that was the rating. So see you on the next video.
No.
Oh.
You can talk now about what my favorite game actually is all about and how it plays. So, go.
Okay. Welcome to a little small town that has some ghosts haunting them. You and 3 other Buddhist monks will try to fend off the ghosts and try to, keep the town safe throughout the night until the morning, and more specifically until you figured out how to get rid of Wu Feng, the evil bad guy, the kind of boss ghost that you have to beat at the end. Ghost Stories is a cooperative game, so you will be playing together with other players against the game, trying to, get rid of ghosts and try not to lose the village to them, have the people scared away, and strategically move around the board and use your special abilities, because each monk has a little special going for him. Starting with the monks, each player becomes one of these nice-looking player mats. They have 2 sides because each monk has 2 different versions of his super ability. So, for example, the yellow monk has an ability that gives him 1 colorful token per turn, or on his turn of his choosing, where the other one gives him the scroll ability. I'll talk about that in a minute, but you get the idea. You will always play with all 4 of these because they kind of form the board. So if I may hand those to you, you essentially align these, and then there's the hole in the middle. The hole in the middle will be filled by these
Village in the hole!
Little village tiles, and that is the first instance of randomization that you will find in the game. So each village tile also has some kind of special ability, and for most part it's gather resources, get help in defeating ghosts, or get some special ability, heal yourself, revive another monk, and so on. Obviously, since you will be moving across these village tiles with your little monk figurines, and you can actually, this is not a monk, but it fits from this color scheme.
Yay! I searched for the right color to have.
So you will be moving across this 3x3 grid of town tiles, and you may only move 1 tile, in any direction, but you have to think about where you are, because these empty card spots here are where the ghosts will come into play. So let's go through a very simple turn. So let's say you start, the first thing you'll do is check if there are any ghosts on your board. If not, you draw a ghost. So you have a stack of ghost cards, you draw one of them and take a look, and oh god, That is actually a really bad one. So you draw one of them, and depending on the color of the ghost, it will go onto the corresponding board of the monk. So if you draw a red ghost, it goes onto the red board. If you draw a yellow ghost, well, you figure. Now I said this is bad one because this is a black ghost. The black ghosts are usually quite powerful and always go onto the board of those who drew them. Now, if it's your turn, you may decide where to put the ghost. That is kind of important because if you now imagine this line of three, maybe you can hold the other two.
Yes, I can. I'm able to assist today. I'm so proud of myself.
Now, depending on where the ghost glares across the board, that will or might affect different board tiles there. To understand this a little bit better, let's take a look at what the ghost can actually do. So this one has a symbol in here that says put one of these ghost minis onto the card, and with each turn, starting with the next one, kind of next time round, this ghost will move one space forward. So at first he'll start on his card, then he'll move to this space, and if he gets to the top space, you have to flip over the board tile and deactivate it. You are now no longer able to use the special of that board tile, which sucks pretty bad. Also, if you ever get to a position where you have three, or where you flip the third board tile, you lose the game. So you kind of want to prevent that from happening. So how do we get rid of the ghost? Well, after the initial phase, drawing a ghost or moving the ghost forward, some make you roll this black die that is only bad news except for the phase that does nothing. So whenever you meet a ghost, and I'll go into the more colorful variants here, as you can see, the ghosts of those different colors, and all of them have those little colorful dots in the corner. Now, if it's your turn and your monk is adjacent to a ghost, you may decide to roll these 3 dice with the little color dots on them, where white is a wild card and anything else is just the color that it is. And you can see these have kind of lost their color because we played this game a lot. So you roll these 3 dice once, and if you manage to roll as many colored dots as are required here, you banish the ghost, just take it away and put it aside. If you're standing in one of the corner pieces and are adjacent to 2 ghosts, you can even try to get rid of both ghosts, but it has to be done with the same die roll. So if you have a ghost that requires 1 pip and one that requires 2 pips, you have to be extremely lucky to roll the right thing to get rid of him. If they have more than 3 pips, you might be out of luck at all, because that gets really difficult. Some things that help you on the way, though, is when I said collecting resources, there are for each color little tokens that you can collect by activating the special board places, the towns places. One, for example, says, well, take 2 dice and you'll get one of those little chits per the color that you rolled. You may spend these when fighting ghosts, and they will count as the corresponding color pip when trying to get rid of the ghost. So let's say I have been fighting this guy and I have rolled 1 blue pip. I can spend another one of these blue, if I have them, to get rid of him. Now you continue fighting ghosts, kind of going through the stack of different ghosts that are available, and it's a kind of almost a war of attrition. You just try to keep them at bay, and spoiler alert here, the ghosts are pretty overwhelming, so you have to coordinate with the other players to prevent them from turning over town tiles or doing any other nasty things. And shortly before the end, that is to say the 10th ghost before the end of the stack, will be an incarnation of Wu Fang, or otherwise known as the big bad boss ghost that will pretty much mangle you. Depending on the difficulty level, you fight one of these or multiple of these, but all of them are very unique. They require a lot of pips. Just look at this. This guy requires you to have 2 red, 2 green, 2 blue, and 2 yellow ones. So you will never ever make that with 3 dice. So you have to start collecting these things to be prepared. Unfortunately, you probably don't know upfront which of these guys will be at the bottom of the stack, so you have to be prepared for anything. I'm not going to spoil all of them, but there's some really cool things in here. Some ghosts that, or boss ghosts that require you to have a special constellation on the board where your monks are to get rid of them. Some require that you may not use these. There's a bunch of ghosts in here, so all of them are quite interesting to see. Among the other bad things that ghosts can do, one, as I said, is turning a town tile over, which basically means they scared the people, the townsfolk, away from that building. The other thing says roll the black die, and the black die has also the symbols for bring a new ghost into play, lose all your tokens, lose a chi, and chi I haven't talked about yet. So you have these little chi markers. They're essentially your health, your monk's health. If your monk ever loses all his chi markers, he's considered dead, meaning you will remove his mini from the game, and that player can only participate in making really, really great suggestions how others should play instead of him. You have a chance of bringing back a monk, but it's a problem. If you lose someone, you don't lose someone. It makes things a little bit difficult. Other nasty things these guys can do is to rob you of your special ability, and that's probably the point where I can talk about the special ability. So we have our red monk. The 2 different versions of his ability are either that he can move to any space on the board during his turn, or he can move another monk during his turn in addition to moving himself, which is pretty neat. So that allows you to get around a little bit better across and try to get rid of the ghosts that you may not have intercepted earlier. There's the green guy who can either re-roll one of these dice when he's trying to get rid of a ghost, or even the black die, and the alternative power is that he gets a 4th die, a gray die, that gives him potentially the ability to roll 4 different colors, as well as not rolling the black die at all. So that is actually pretty good for fighting ghosts that make you roll the black die once you've beaten them. Then we have the blue guy, the blue monk, who can either try to get rid of 2 ghosts for 1 action, or use the same village tile twice. Or on his alternative side, he can try to get rid of a ghost and use the village tile on his turn. So all the others actually have to choose. So do you want to use the special thing of your village space, or do you want to get rid of a ghost? With the overwhelming amount of ghosts spawning all the time, you might want to get rid of a ghost most of the time. So him having the ability to do both, or get rid of both, and allow someone else to take care of a village tile or ghost is pretty good. And the green guy's power, the yellow guy's power, colors. The yellow guy's power now actually makes more sense, I hope, because that means that he can pick up any of the still available colored chits and put it in his resource tab. So he can just start accumulating these things. His alternate side isn't too bad either. It's called a scroll of whatever, and the scroll of whatever actually reduces the power of a ghost by 1. So you could say this counts almost as a wild card of these that allows you to weaken another ghost. The cool thing about this, though, is you can put this on any ghost. So you can kind of weaken another ghost and then have someone else beat him if you're not close to it, or do something with it. So as you can see, all those special abilities usually require a bit of communication between the players, and I mean, it's a cooperative game, so that's what you want to do here. Of note about the ghosts, you have 3 different triggers when they come into play. If the bad thing that happens down here is on the bottom left side, that means you have to execute that action when the ghost comes into play. If it's in the middle, then that means each turn you have to do this thing on your face or on the face on whose board this ghost is sitting. Mostly these are the, well, move spooky guy 1 space forward and try to get rid of the villages. But some of them, like this nasty black one, has the black die in the center. That would technically mean, as long as he's on your board, every action or every of your turns you have to roll the black die as long as he's there. Well, unless you're the green guy with the side of the board that ignores that. And last, because that is the right side action, which means you have to run this action when you get rid of the ghost. So that is kind of the nasty thing where it goes kind of giving you a little smack on the way out of the door, and trying to do that. There's technically a way to score points at the end by counting how many of these things you have left, how often you used your special powers. You will come across, or you can you will start with these yin-yang tokens, and you can win those through beating certain ghosts that allow you to turn a village tile over again after people have been scared away, or use that to activate a village tile that you're not on, which is pretty nice. But those are kind of not that difficult to grasp. The main loop would be you go around the table. You will always do the ghost actions first. If there's still space on your board, draw a new ghost. If your board is full, so if you have 3 ghosts in front of you, you will lose life. You will lose a chi for that. But thankfully not draw a ghost afterwards. And then go around, do your 2 actions, either move or and then either try to get rid of a ghost or use a town space. And then it's the next player's turn. Continue doing that until you find the incarnation of Wu Fang, beat the deadly crap out of him. And if you manage to pull that off, the village is safe and you are a winner.
That's so nice. You want to talk about the how it works with this token here when you're less than 4 players?
I think it's so you will always have all 4 character boards outside. So even if you're not playing with 4 or the other, at least the monk boards are there, meaning you will obviously place ghosts on them. Good news is when it's their turn, in quotation marks, you won't bring out a ghost. So that's one of the ways the game scales. You only bring out a ghost on your turn and do that stuff. In other good news is you will get these little team-up tokens that allow you to use the special powers of one of the non-participating monks. And you spend those, put them on the middle tile of the 9 village tiles, and you can reclaim them by ending your turn on that tile. It's just a way, if you're playing with less than 4, that you can still make use of the other monk's powers. But again, it comes with a cost, because you have to farm those tokens and be able to use them.
Yeah. So that's pretty much it, and we can hop into the probably longest section of the video, likes and dislikes.
Well, it's very short, because you already said what...
Yeah, but you are here too. You are entitled to have another opinion, although it might be a bad day for you if you have another opinion. No, just kidding. Let's hop right into the likes and dislikes section. Now I want to start because I wanna say, you talk, now I talk. So here we go. I did not really, watch reviews or anything before we got the game. We just bought it. I think you saw something about it and said, oh, that could be nice for us, but I didn't anticipate it being my favorite game for 2 years now. I was not having any expectations once we opened the box and started playing. But I was really surprised how much the game grasped me. I'm not the greatest fan of grinder games, like where you have to fight and see no end to it until you get that one lucky thing that makes you actually want to win. Like we do have other games like Machina Arcana, stuff like that are really grindy, just going and going and going, and you're like 1/3 into the game, you're so overwhelmed, and you actually think about, well, let's just start over. That can't be. It's just a shitty round that we're playing. But then the game is supposed to be like that. So I'm not the greatest fan of these games. I like them once in a while. However, with this game, I really, really love it. It's just in the right spot between being very difficult and having a nice percentage when it comes to success rate and how it feels when you lose together. Since it's cooperative and you have a lot of communication at the table with this one, you don't feel like he did that wrong and that's why we lost. But it's like, damn, the dice didn't work for us, or we could have maybe done that. Let's try again. Things like that. So this is a draw to the game. It's not a simple and easy game, but it's just on the verge to being brutal, but it's not quite there yet. Also, it's very, very nice to look at. I really like the artwork. It reminds me a lot of anime, manga, kind of comic dark kind of style. The line work is more like I would say it's not a classic manga. It's more like adult comic kind of stuff.
Young adult horror.
Young adult horror. That's the
Twilight.
That's the genre.
Twilight.
Twilight in Japan. I also just like the theme of it being ghosts that you have to banish, and you working to protect the village. So really liked that. I'm fine with the components. I'm not too happy with the figurines. They're this rubber material that I'm not too fond of, but me liking the game so much lets me overlook that not too great quality. However, the cards in the cardboard are very nice, very sturdy, and we played the heck out of this game. So, of course, the dice do lose their high quality shiny varnish, I should say. They lose it after a while, but other than that, it's really just lovely to have on the table. Now, what I also very much like about the game is how it scales from quote-unquote easy to nightmare level. So if the usual way to play the game is just too difficult for you, and I have to sneeze, oh boy.
Gesundheit!
Yeah. Sorry. If it's maybe in the beginning a bit too difficult for you, you can scale it to a very simple level where you just have one Wu Fang in there, and you get the yin yang markers with the start of the game, or more of these colorful tokens here at the beginning of the game before you even draw the first ghost. To really the very difficult level where you have Nightmare was 3 ghosts, three Wu Fangs, or was it 4? I don't remember, but a lot of them in the stack. You don't get these colorful Tau tokens in the beginning. You don't get the Yin Yang marker in the beginning, but you just acquire them during the game. So I really like how that is scaled. I also very much like how the game is scaled between, say, 2 players, 3 players, 4 players. There's not really a difference other than in how you communicate at the table and how lucky people might be, or unlucky with rolling dice. That's pretty much the only difference there, but it's not less likely to beat the ghosts if you're less than a full set of players. So I very much like that, and I guess that's why it's in the spot of my favorite game. Still is after more than 2 years. Yeah, and now you tell me.
I too like this game. Obviously, I mean the art style. Uh, the game is called Ghost Stories, and it really reminds me of the movies A Chinese Ghost Story, which kind of I I'm not sure if Antoine Bauza based it on those movies, but it comes really close with Chinese monsters, vampires, whatnot showing up and having monks defend the village. Sounds pretty much like it, yeah. Um, there's there's a couple of things now over the time playing it that I can go on being nitpicky about. For example, the cardstock is not that great. It's very flimsy, and now that we've played this quite some time with the shuffling, wear and tear is becoming visible on the cards. As you said, they becomes visible on the dice, which for some reason those are really weird dice. But that is not about the game itself. It's more about the production quality of the components here. As you said, the rubbery minis are.
Yeah, not a big fan.
There's stuff that could be better. That being said, this game is not well very new in terms of production run. So I guess if they would re-release it now, just from production components, things might be better when it comes out. But all that is still not keeping it from me really liking it. In terms of gameplay, I think if I had a criticism, it's that you have to, at some point, there's some certain things you have to do if you want to kind of have a chance of winning the game, as to where the monks have to be positioned on the board, that you have to make the most use out of the corners and try to game the game by, forcing or having your monks in a position that they can focus on beating the ghosts and not so much about using the tiles, although some of those are again so important to have that sometimes the game breaks for you, or well, you lose the game because the village tile that is really useful. I didn't explain it, but there's one, for example, with the two monks on here, so with the two Buddhas on here. So if you activate that village tile, you will get one of those Buddhas, and you can place them. That's why there's a little Buddha symbol on here. You can place him on one of these card spots, and when you draw a ghost, you can put him on the Buddha, and the ghost will just go away without having any negative impact. It's almost like you never drew the card. That space is incredibly powerful and incredibly important to make the most use of during the game, to kind of give yourself a breather from time to time, or to get rid of ghosts that are really nasty, like the black ones that cripple you by, well, either taking away your powers and stuff like that. Now you could argue that makes the difficulty of the game, but I think across all the games we played, seems to me if you don't do that as a baseline, you always have a really bad time on winning the game. So that would be maybe the only thing, and I think that stuff gets a little bit more interesting when you add on the expansion, which we might talk about in another installation. But even for that, if you like rolling dice and want to be at the edge of your seat and we just need one more die roll to get that, this is pretty good for that. And maybe that's because you only have 3 or 4 dice. It's a limited amount of stuff that you interact with, and you have to nail it perfectly to win the game. And sometimes it just comes down to that last die roll that it gets everybody really exciting. And since this is a cooperative game, everybody at the table is excited when you roll that one color that you needed to get rid of the ghosts, or did some awesome feat of ghost expelling.
Another thing I just forgot that I really liked, it though you have downtime at the table when you're not the active player, since the turns itself are so short, there's not a lot of boredom at the table, and since you're communicating all the time and trying to either help the active player or just keeping fingers crossed or whatnot, it doesn't feel like you have a lot of downtime, even if you're playing with a full set of players. Yeah. So I really like that.
And similar to Pandemic: The Cure, since this is a game where the person whose turn it is has to roll the dice, it's kind of...
You can always blame it on him or her.
Yeah, it's kind of his thing to do. You can alpha game here quite a bit by instructing people where to put ghosts and stuff, but ultimately it's up to the person whose turn it is to place the ghost, and I might have to tell someone else to shut up and have them make the decision and go forward. But as I said, that's where it kind of comes in a bit negatively, because there's some things that you might have to do or might have to pay attention to win. That where if you have an alpha gamer at the table, that will be something that is being pushed for. Like, hey, you have to put the ghosts into the corners. We have to be positioned in the corners and try to get rid of those. Put the ones we can easily beat into the corners. It's all stuff that kind of shows up there. Yeah. A thing I wasn't really happy with is the manual.
I was just about to ask, how did you like it?
So I'm pretty sure that the reason for that is that this comes with, I think, as a 3-lingual version.
English, French, and German.
And Spanish, I think.
Spanish too? Okay.
So, and I wouldn't necessarily say that the translation is bad. As you can see, the manual is quite, well, there's not going on. And from my explanation, I hope that you gather that it's not terribly difficult if it's your turn and you do that. But then you look at a chart at the back that tries to explain that exact thing to you with, okay, if it's your turn and this symbol is there and this symbol is there, then do this. If it's this symbol and now, well, do you know what that symbol means? No? Well, then...
We got a reference sheet that has a mishap when it comes to printing.
Let's take a look at... Actually, yeah, there's... then there's these symbols listed, and it's not as intuitive as I would like it to be. Obviously, you can figure stuff out, but yeah, it comes with another player aid that explains the village tiles, and actually some are swapped on here. Maybe, I guess that's just for the German version, but yeah, it's all those little production mishaps, same as with the quality of the components themselves. But yeah, you have these huge table of different icons and symbols, and I understand why they did those, because they're language agnostic and easier maybe to work out for different languages. For some reason, whenever we play this game, we'll end up having to look up a lot of these icons. Maybe that wouldn't happen if we played it every day, but...
I was just about to say, meanwhile, we have so many games that we play in rotation that we might forget things.
Yeah, just as a friendly reminder, if that is something that irks you, just be aware, if you're playing this game, you might have to, what was that icon again? And since some of these icons are, nondescript kanji letter surrounded by a square, it's like, what does that mean? That's the only thing that might, at least make it move a little bit slower than you might want to. Yeah. As soon as you have a couple of games under your belt, that speeds up, obviously. Yeah.
Maybe if they, one time in the future, do reprint this game, they might just take the wooden meeples that they used with Samurai Spirit, which is, by the way, by the same game designer, instead of those. And they might just rethink the manual and, have it more like other games. For example, Samurai Spirit, that is pretty much the travel game for ghost stories. where I remember the manual was awesome. So maybe they just have to catch up a bit there. I don't know when was this printed.
Actually, Samurai Spirit also had some couple of rules that were hidden in some paragraphs.
I didn't remember that. Okay. Oh well. Anyways, let's rate. Mine is pretty obvious. Have you thought about your rating?
This gets a full-sized Marshmallow Man out of 1 Goza.
Okay, well, on my personal scale from 1 to awesome, well, it's my favorite game because it's an awesome, it's a goddamn awesome +1 because it's my favorite game designer that made this one. So yeah, that's the rating, and now we can go into the last section of the video, which is funny stories and experiences. Now, I don't necessarily remember really funny stories about playing the, because we usually cursed more than anything when it comes to games.
It's a game of ghosts and horrors.
So it's not funny, but it's lovely experiences all the time. I remember when we got it the first year, we made an effort to play it successfully through all the different levels, and it took us longest, of course, at the nightmare level. And I remember that we were playing almost a whole week, every night, a game or two, trying to beat the nightmare level, just the two of us. And there were a lot of curses, but it was such great satisfaction and just like, booyah, gotcha, when we finally made it. So
and after that, so Nightmare is the second most difficult. Hell is the
then I was talking about Hell.
I think we actually played more we had more attempts to try to finish Nightmare, but after we did that, Hell we made either on the next run or the second next run.
Yeah, I think it took us two rounds.
Yep.
I have to check on the social medias for that, because I remember that I posted about this game really beating the crap out of us.
Let me check that I'm not mistaken. And if you wonder why I'm getting this holy shine, that's because the sun is actually trying to peek through this early, almost winter day.
It's called autumn, honey.
Winter.
Pre-winter season. But anyways, we also played it with your parents and with our gaming group. And I don't remember if we won or lost or whatever. It didn't matter. It was just a great time spending
I think
with them at the table.
Everybody we know came to the conclusion this is a tense game. So
yeah, very tense. And we play more than one round in one night, but with the other players, I remember they said, okay, now we gotta switch things up. This is just too much.
We are exhausted. We need to...
Yeah, because they were fighting so hard. But it was overall just a very, very good time. Otherwise, we wouldn't have bought the expansions if we wouldn't have enjoyed the game, at least to a certain extent. And I'm not gonna go too much in the expansions, but I'm undecided about if I like the base game on itself more than with an expansion, or other way around, or if they're just equally nice. It's every box has its own draw, I think. I wouldn't say the base game is less cool than with an expansion, although the expansions are awesome.
I don't want to spoil. I like the White Moon expansion quite a bit. I'm
not saying I don't like it. It's just I like the base game on itself a lot too. The
base game itself is a full game in terms of time required to play it, and the expansion drags that out a little bit. We might get to that.
We might get to that.
Talk about the expansion at some other time.
Yeah. So before we wrap up this video, I said it yesterday in the Talker Clocks already, but maybe you didn't see that, or you're just watching the Gamers Couch. That's fine too, by the way. We are not going to have a Gamers Couch next Sunday, because this week, after this day today, it's Spiel, and it's from Thursday to Saturday, and usually we shoot these kind of videos on Saturday, so we can't be in two places 2 places. They're wondering why we are so awake. It's of course afternoon.
Sunday.
Somewhere on the world, it's Sunday. No, we're not able to be in 2 places at once, so we cannot shoot a Gamer's Couch before Spiel, nor can we shoot it on Saturday. So we skip 1 week and then we're back the week after Spiel with a regular schedule and hopefully lots and lots of cool new games that we got to play too before we shoot things.
Now, today we showed you one of the games we had for quite some time, and I think it is one that will stay in our collection for quite some time and will be pulled out here and then. After Spiel, you will probably see us playing a lot of the new games that came out. Yeah. We still have some around here that we haven't played either yet or already, plus... that probably will take us the rest of the year, maybe
longer,
up to the next Spiel.
You know, we still have games on the shelf. We do have separations in our board game shelf that is, we still have to play it, and we played it, but we still have to shoot it on the Gamer's Couch. And then we have the regular board game shelf. So there is still games from last year's Spiel that we didn't try enough before we can even shoot videos for them. So there's lots and lots of games to come, and I think and I expect that we will be covered with the new games at least until summer next year, because it seems like there's not a ton of we want to pre-order that games coming out this year, so we might have I'm wondering how many games we will
we'll
take
see.
back from the Spiel.
If math is your friend, you know that we have at the maximum 52, well, more realistically 50 of these videos we do per year, and at Spiel there's at least 600 new games coming out, so obviously we won't be able to cover them all. So
no, we didn't. Last year we bought 19, including expansions. I recently rewatched the coming back from Spiel Gamer's Couch that we did, and though we did put in a couple of games that we didn't buy last year and that we maybe we had the hiatus and everything, so we're not through all the games that we bought last year, and we try to prioritize them. The newer ones when they come out, so that you guys, when they get on the market, that you get more than one review on the internets on if that game would be for you or not. So
that being said, I mean, we're not a review site, so
no, we're not. We just
keep on rambling.
No, we're kind of reviewing, but there's no money behind that. There's no gain for us other than having a lot of fun with it and just spending time together talking about our greatest hobby. So
I think that's how the majority of YouTube works.
Well, there's paid reviews. Game reviews. We don't do those. So it's mainly checking out the games, enjoying them, talking about them, and then maybe recommending them for you if you are in a certain situation, have certain gaming groups, kids. Could that be something for you? That is actually the goal of these kind of videos. And just spending time with Happy where he's not playing Destiny. On the computer.
So if you did not realize, our last name is King, and if I'm playing Destiny and the expansion is called the Taken King, now you know who that king is taken away from.
Yeah, but I was that's just on a last note. I was actually thinking last night, maybe because we have a date with our friends every Sunday playing board games. And once in a while we do have a date on Saturdays with our family to play board games too. But I miss the times that we both had time to game every night during the week. So Destiny and work taken that away for quite a while.
I was about it. You could put a little bit more emphasis on the work part, because it's not only me.
No. It's my work because I work at night, and you are currently playing Destiny. And it takes a lot of time to beat these bosses, and I hear him cursing like
appears
all
to
the
be
time.
Wait, yeah.
So I just miss our times during the week where we played an hour or two at night, and maybe you and I can have a play date every Wednesday night for an hour or two. Make it happen to just the two of us. Not only play the dinner games, but maybe a bigger game. That would be awesome. I'd like that.
Goodbye.
I will tell you later if I'm successful with my request here.
Wish us luck, and we hope to be back with you in 2 weeks with a bunch of new stuff from the Messe Essen and talk about more games.
Yeah, because they're lovely. If you feel like, meanwhile, doing the good YouTube stuff, thumbsing up,
if
and
we did not scare you away with our ghost stories.
Yeah, sharing and subscribing. Go ahead, feel free. We'd love that. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. It's just as easy as that. And now, goodbye.